I appreciate you guys meeting me out here today on a Friday. And again, I'm Keri Barnum. I'm the director for New Shelves. I'm filling in for Amy today. She is taking some much deserved time to spend with her family. So we're going to do this today. And Jean, I see that you have your hand raised. If you have a question, feel free to type it in the chat or do it in the Q&A box, and I'll be happy to get to that. All right. First question is from Steven. How do you build a platform, one for marketing to increase exposure? That's a really good question. And one of the things that we really encourage is using social media. Social media, for the most part, is free. So it's really important that you do have your social media up and you find where your audience is. For college and earning cash for college and making sure you can pay for college, I'd say Facebook is probably big. Twitter might be also, and Pinterest. Pinterest is one of those long lasting um, it's just a long lasting platform. You put a pin up and it lasts for years and years. And every time someone pins it, it has a new life. So we really encourage that you have a Pinterest. Maybe you create some pins for your book, Stephen, that are the top 5 tips on how to pay for college, or I don't know, different things about how maybe teens can help their parents, so it's not all on the parents. But pins are a really good way, and of course, your website. And it's really important as you're building this platform that everything is the same across the way. You don't want to have a Facebook page that is Stephen Roberts, author, and then have a website that is cashforcollege.com. You would want to make sure that you brand across the board: your Twitter handle, your Instagram handle if you have one, your name on or your public page on Facebook should have the same name, in your website. They should all really brand together so that if someone's searching for you, they're not trying to search 3 or 4 different ways. We want to make it easy for people to find us and therefore find our books. So I think it's just a matter of getting yourself out there. I know there are plenty of websites that you can build yourself, and it's fairly easy for people inclined toward, technical stuff. I can figure out any social media, but ask me to do a website, and I will laugh at you because it's not going to turn out well. So it depends on what your strengths are, and certainly there's some things that it's worth paying for and some things that you want to make sure that you do yourself to save on costs. All right. And let's go over to the chat box. Wendy, as far as an intellectual property lawyer, I do not have any recommendations, I'm afraid. That's something that might be best that you talk to someone that you know who's used one and has a recommendation. But personally, I'm afraid I don't know one. Denise has a question. Let's see. Violet's Voyages children's series from her new granddaughter, and they have just one question at a time. Okay. If you're uploading your cover in Ingram Spark and it has been a major battle, now that my dimensions are okay, I have to convert to CMYK and PDF times ratios. I use GIMP and it doesn't have either one. Any suggestions, please? Here's the thing, Denise. This is why we have a cover designer do all of our covers, because it can get pretty dicey. Ingram Spark, you do have to have pretty set files. And so we generally go to someone who can create those files for us. We don't create our own because it's just not our strong suit here at New Shelves. Um, there are plenty of people you can find at Fiverr who will maybe be able to help you for a set price, but I'm afraid that anything technical like that is beyond me. And you are also asking about the bookstore mailing that we have going on for New Shelves. It's going out in August and September. And you thought the book would be ready by now, but it's not. As far as the bookstore mailing, we're not actually mailing out until the very end of August and into the beginning of September. So you have some time. I'd say the book needs to be up about August 15th, but you can certainly feel free to either email me at Keri@newshelves.com. It's KERI at newshelves.com. And well, just email me and I'll make sure it gets taken care of if you have any questions, or if you're in contact with Connor, you can just let him know. Uh, we've got some questions over in the chat box, so I'm going to go back and forth again. The priority now is to amp up marketing for my published memoir. Slowly working on second book, a biography, and I'm in research for that. Just got back to the Midwest Writers Workshop, which was awesome. Sorry, back from. Oh, it's good. Those workshops are amazing, aren't they? They breathe new life into your work and give you new ideas. So it's so great to collaborate with other writers. I love that you're doing that. Um, so I do think that workshops and things are a great thing to do when you're working on marketing. It can be really hard when you're an author and you're publishing your own books, that you have to remember to continue marketing your previous books while you move on and you're writing and publishing new books. So I find it really helpful to set aside specific time for marketing. If you go in and you say, I don't know, maybe Tuesdays and Thursdays are my marketing days. And that's the day that I'm going to take my hour of time that I have every day to spend on my writing, and I'm going to specifically do marketing tasks. So maybe doing something like that and actually being intentional and scheduling it out would be helpful for you all. And Steve wants to know, I'm sorry, Stephen, what resources are there for being able to find a book printer and getting print quotes? Um, there are all sorts of printers out there. It really depends, Stephen, how many you want. If you're doing a big print run or a small print run, it also depends how long you're willing to wait. There are some printers in the U.S. that can get books to you quickly, but they tend to be a little bit more expensive. There's one I know in Canada that does good work, and that um, is a little bit slower. But if you're outsourcing, if you're doing, let's say, a pallet of 5,000 books and you're shipping from China or Malaysia, you're looking at a good 14 to 15 weeks ship time. So for your question, it's really hard to answer without knowing what your priorities are and what your goal is, how soon you need those books, how many books you need. But if you drop that information in, we can come back to it. Okay, and Elle is saying she's trying to claim the Google thing. When you Google someone and the bar comes up on the right side of the screen, I'm struggling techie here. Okay, so I think what you're saying, are you talking about Google Plus, Elle? Is that what you're trying to claim? Um, I'm sorry, there's lots of Google things, so I'm not quite sure what you're talking about, but I'm sure we can help. So not Google Plus. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. If you can find the name, I'd be happy to answer if I can or look into it. And then you also had questions about asking people to review your book. You tried to go back to Debbie Drum. Um, and you had canceled it and you couldn't figure out how to set it all up, different formats. Okay. So I think what you're probably talking about is Book Connect, and that's where you can host your book for free. It's a lot like Book Funnel. Book Connect is run by Debbie Drum. She's someone that we've worked with, and it's just a place where you can host your book, the PDF, the ebook, and the Mobi, so you can offer people a free review copy. Keep in mind that when you're doing reviews, you cannot ask people to leave an Amazon review. It's against their terms of service. You can ask if they would like a free copy in consideration for a review. We don't force people to do reviews. We don't make it part of a contract. We just say, I'd love if you take a look at my book. If you read it and you love it, I'd really appreciate it if you leave a review somewhere, anywhere online. And keep in mind that when you say your favorite place to shop online, most people immediately think Amazon. Since it's such a widely used site, while you cannot specifically ask people to leave a review on Amazon, it's kind of the thing that automatically comes up. Amy always used the example of, want to go get a Big Mac? Everyone knows that a Big Mac is McDonald's. We don't have to say McDonald's. You say Big Mac and people know. And online shopping is kind of the same. Amazon's got a corner on it. So if you say, I'd love for you to leave a review online, most people will go to Amazon. Every once in a while, you'll see Barnes and Noble, you'll see Goodreads, but that's still okay because any review online is still an excellent thing to have. And let's see, are there any set it and forget it systems or resources that you would recommend, or at least things that we could do once and not worry about them for 3 months or more to help with marketing? Oh man, that's hard. There's not too much in marketing that is set it and forget it. There are things that you can put in place and check weekly. A really good one is Amazon ads. I'm a fan of Amazon ads if they're done well and if they're monitored. Um, what I do for Amazon ads is I set them with a set budget and I usually run them from Thursday to Monday. It seems to be the most high traffic time for the books that I've worked with. And when doing that, I set a specific budget, let's say $10 a day, and I set it Thursday to Monday. And that way, you know exactly how much you could spend. It's not going to go over that set amount budget. And you can come back and look at results and reset for the next week. It's something that I'd say probably takes maybe 15, 30 minutes as you get better at the ads and you get more familiar with the keywords. You will find that these ads can be set up pretty quickly. So that's a quick thing to do. Another thing that gets a lot of bang for the buck is blogging. Again, blogging is one of those things that it does take time initially, but if you sit down and write, let's say, 10 blogs and you schedule them out over the course of 3 months, because you can usually on a website do that, schedule out a blog, then you're getting a lot of SEO, you can pull in traffic, and you're also generating new content over the course of several months. And you can do that, let's say, in an afternoon. Maybe you don't want to write all your blogs in an afternoon, but you can certainly post them. So that's another great idea to do as well. Um, and that's all I can think of off the top of my head that's kind of set and forget, where you can, do all the work in the beginning and kind of let it go. Another thing is social media. If you are using social media, you can schedule out for a month or even two in advance. You can use Hootsuite, Recur Post. Um, there's a lot of different type of um, scheduling scheduling things that you can use for social media, and that's one of those things where you can um, on social media, you want to talk about your book, but you also want to bring value. So if it's for college, certainly talk about your book, maybe one in every 5 or 6 posts, but you also want to be sending people to other links of things about college or college statistics, or maybe you're going to post a really great article about how college students are in major debt and there's a better way. Something that relates to your book and relates to your audience without directly talking about your book. Remember, if all you're doing is going to a cocktail party and saying, "Hi, my name's Steven and I have a book. Let me tell you about it." "Hi, my name's Steven. I have a book. Let me tell you about it." People don't want to talk to you. They want you to ask about them. They want you to interact and offer other things. So make sure that when you're talking about your book, either in person or on social media, that you're allowing other people to give input, that you're talking about something other than just yourself and your book. All right. And Denise, we're going to skip down to you for a minute. Besides draft to digital, do you have a list of where we should list ebooks? Kobo, many things. Denise, here's the great thing about Draft to Digital is when you go on Draft to Digital and you upload your book, you give them permission to distribute your book on several different platforms. Kobo, Nook for Barnes and Noble, Overdrive, Bibliotheca, Baker and Taylor for library ebooks is now on there. What else is on there? I believe Google Play if you've got that kind of stuff going on. So there's a whole range. So just by going to one place, you can get your book into many markets, and that's why we love Draft to Digital so much. Um, Definitely something I recommend personally for ebooks. They have a very easy interface. You can upload either a EPUB or a Word document, and you get your book right up there. If you make price changes, you can do it really quickly. I'm talking about usually in a couple hours. I think they say that it's like 24, 48 hours, but I've always had really good luck with them doing it quickly. They also have a promotion feature. So if you're dropping your book down for a weekend, you can just set it when your book is being dropped down and when you want the price to go back up, and it does it automatically. So you don't have to remember to do that. So I mean, I really recommend them, and log in and see exactly where your book is being distributed, because other than Draft to Digital, the only big ones that I can think of course, are KDP. which you want, and if you want to upload to Ingram. But again, with Ingram Spark, if you're uploading your book there, you want to make sure that you're not giving them distribution rights to everywhere because you're already doing that to Draft to Digital. And of course, you don't want Ingram Spark to be distributing your book to KDP and to Amazon because it's already such a robust a place on KDP. When you upload your book there, you make better royalties. Okay. Can you spell the name of that distribution for ebook? Sure, Anne Marie. It's Draft, DRAFT, the number 2, digital, DIGITAL.com. And I will also drop it in the chat box. Draft2digital.com. There we go. All right, Stephen, how do you recommend to get book reviewers? Um, Book reviewers can be a little dicey. It's hard to find reviewers sometimes. And even though your friends and your family say, yeah, I read your book, of course I did, I'll leave a review, most of the time they don't, right? Sometimes maybe it's just not their type of material and they're not very excited about it. Um, Maybe they just don't know how to write a review or they're not comfortable doing it, and that's okay. We have to respect our friends and family in that way. So when you're looking for book reviews, obviously people who buy your book, we want them to leave reviews and encourage that. um, but another great way to do it is to research bloggers who write on topics like yours, or for a college book, I'd say parenting blogs, maybe budget blogs, um, blogs that are just about college in general, and go to them and offer them a free review copy. Ask if you can send them a free ebook, and in exchange, would they consider writing review? There's no obligation, but if they would, it would be so much appreciated. And sometimes you can get it. I would say out of, let's say, if you send out to 100 requests, you might get 10 responses, and out of those, I have one or two might leave reviews, so it is slow going. But if you make it a regular habit, sometimes they'll also blog about you, which again increases SEO, gives you something to share online. So it's one of those ongoing things that you have to work on with book reviews. Another good idea is, of course, every time you sell a book, it's a chance for review. So if you sell a mass quantity of books at one time, your chance of reviews go up. And a good way to do that is to do like a 99-cent promo for your ebook. If you do it for a weekend, or maybe you do it for a week, but you drop your price down to 99 cents, and then you advertise on all the bargain newsletter outlets, Bargain Booksy, Just Kindle Books, Fussy Librarian. There's a number of others, but then they send your book at the 99-cent price out to a whole slew of people who look for books like yours in your genre. And then, of course, you get sales. And when you get sales, while it's 99 cents, you're not really making a profit. Each of those sales is a chance for a review. So sometimes that's very effective as well. Okay. And what ideas do we have for older books or books over 1 year to gain awareness of the book and market it? Here's the thing is, if you have an older book, it's okay if you can still tie it to current events. If you have a book that was, let's just say you have a book that's all about Amazon publishing when Create Space was king, that's not going to fly anymore. I don't care what you do, it's outdated. But if you have a book that's a year or two old that's all about budgeting for college, and the information inside is still current, it's still active, all you have to do in order to bring it about, even if you're marketing to bookstores, to libraries, as well as to the general public, find recent statistics that show that your book is still valuable because of how many students are coming out of college with debt and not being able to find a job. It's more important than ever that people can go to college and pay it off quickly. And so I would pull those things up. Um, and make it current. Tie your book to current events as much as possible. Yes, Anne Marie, you would like the name of Bargain Books again. So there's fussylibrarian.com, bargainbooksy.com, Just Kindle Books is another one, .com, of course. So that's three of the top ones. If you search, there's a bunch of them. There are some that only do bargain books. There are some that only do free books. So there may be other opportunities out there. Robbins Reads is another one that can be a little bit harder to get into, but they have a huge romance list. So if you happen to have a fictional book that's romance related, that's a good one to try for. Okay. Book printers stick with US based printers. So if you want a US based printer, I'm sure I have a list somewhere I can pull up. Stephen, if you email me, I will try to send you a list. I don't know it off the top of my head. I know that I've looked at a couple over the past year though. So if you send me an email at Keri, Keri at newshelves.com, I will be happy to get you what I found, and then you can do your own research. But certainly there are some good ones out there, and the quality in the US tends to be really nice. Okay, last week Amy mentioned a bio writer. Would you address his or her name? Jay, I would love to help you, but I have to confess I was not listening last week. I was actually playing at a water park with my kids. So I'm not quite sure who Amy talked about. I would be happy to find out for you, though. Again, if you send me an email, Carrie at newshelves.com, I will look into it and I will get you the name. But I'm afraid I don't know who she spoke about specifically last week. All right. Jean, a small metaphysical shop just opened in my town. I showed the owner my book and she said she'd be happy to stock my book and to come in today with some copies. How do I approach this? Do I need a written agreement? What percentage of sales go to her? You asked about our books. My book is entitled Reflections of a Seasoned Soul. True stories of transformation experienced by an inspired hospice nurse and impassioned spiritual traveler. It is my autobiography, my angelic, mystical, metaphysical experiences, my profound NDE, and three stories of my most memorable and transformable hospice patients. That sounds cool, Jane. Jean, I'm sorry, I'm sure I said that wrong. So that sounds absolutely cool. And what I would say is generally, if you're bringing it into a bookstore, they probably already have an agreement in place. It's pretty typical for them to take your books and then they will give you a 40% profit. It's just like if you were on Ingram Spark and you sell at a 55% discount, that's about standard. So I'd expect to get anywhere between 30 and 40% of the profits for your book. But most bookstores, again, have an agreement already in place. And that's something you should ask before you, I mean, certainly bring your books in for sure. But before you leave the books, ask if they have an agreement, how they pay out. Do they pay out in cash? Do they pay out in a 1099? How do they tax it? Those are all important questions to ask. And it does depend on each bookstore, in my experience. Good luck with that, and congratulations. Great idea going in there. Oh, I'm happy to help, Jay, and I will get you that bio as soon as Amy, or the writer, as soon as Amy is back around in town. All right. Annette says, I used NetGalley to get advanced reviews for my novel in 2013. About 30% of the readers posted a review on Amazon, 63 reviews. I'm working on a second novel now and like to get 100 reviews for my first book to generate a little buzz for my next book. Should I reach out to those NetGalley readers and ask them to review my first book? Or ask them review my first book in exchange for the second book when it's published? Or should I form beta readers for the second book instead? Here is the thing in it. I think NetGalley is awesome, by the way. It can be a little bit pricey, but NetGalley is awesome. It's a good way to get reviews. For if your book is up early, for sure, that's a good thing to do. I'm glad you brought that up because I had forgotten to mention it. Now, as far as how you should handle reviews for your next book, if you have the information of the readers who reviewed your first book, certainly reach out to them and offer a free copy and ask if they'd be interested in reviewing the second book. What we found to be really successful when offering a second book is we always, if we're asking someone to review the second book in a series, especially, we always offer the first book for free as well. Many people don't want to just jump into the middle of a story. So, what we usually do is if we're going to someone who's already read the first book, we said, you read and highly reviewed this first book. We'd love for you to read the second book in consideration of a review. Are you interested? If it is someone who is new, it's a brand new reviewer, I would offer them both books right off the bat. Tell them my second book is about to come out. I'm so excited and I would love for you to read a advanced review copy. However, I understand that you probably don't want to start in the middle of the book. So if you would also like to read my first book for review, I would be happy to offer you that. And that's where that ebook sharing site, either using BookFunnel, BookConnect, something like that, comes in handy, because not only do you collect email addresses when people claim your book, but it's also a really easy way to share your book and make it convenient for readers. Because remember, reviewers are doing us a favor, so we want to treat them with kindness and respect, realizing that they don't have to do anything for us. Any tips to generate interviews on podcasts? Again, much like bloggers, you find a bunch of podcasts you think you would be a great fit for and you pitch yourself. Keep in mind when you are pitching yourself for a podcast that you want to give them information that's not just about your book. They want to know who you are as a speaker. Certainly tie your book in, but what else can you offer them? If it is a business, let's just say it's a business blog and your book is a, I don't know, a fictional fantasy book. Well, you can go to them and say, I'd be interested in being on your podcast. I have some great tips on how I've managed my own business and publishing company, and I have a new book coming out I'd like to talk about. Make sure you tie it into that podcast. If you're looking for a do it for you kind of thing, we really enjoy Up My Influence. It's up my my influence influence.com. And Josh and his team are absolutely great. They set up a profile and then they will actually pitch you for a set amount of time to podcast. We've had some great experiences with our list there. They do tend to be they're not huge podcasts, which is sometimes okay. That's good to build up your repertoire. Generally, you're not going to get onto a podcast that's got 1.2 million followers if you have no video and no interviews on the radio. They want to make sure that you can speak well before they get you on there. So either go out, find your own podcast and pitch yourself, or use a service like Up My Influence. Is it ethical to incentivize people to review your books by running a giveaway for readers who have left reviews? Well, Sonia, I don't know. I don't know about the technical rules for this. I think that it would be hard to do it because you are promising people who have reviewed your book. Now, if it's someone who you just want them to buy it and you're giving them an incentive for buying the book, I could see that. But as far as asking them to leave a review and only doing a giveaway for people who have done a review, I think that's a little borderline. Now, if you have a beta team or a street team and they are a team that you offer books and reviews to, or books in exchange for reviews, and they're helping you out, and you maybe have a Facebook group or you have an email newsletter that goes out and just offering them a giveaway, I think would make sense. But if you I think it depends on how you run it. It could be ethical, it could be on the line. So I'd be very careful that you're not requiring a review, because that's very close to paying for a review, which is not smiled upon and not allowed on Amazon for sure. Hi, Linda. Most people don't know how to leave a review even if they want to. Is there a good explanation of how to do it and how you can print out and either put on your website or write a blog about? Yes. Actually, I'd be surprised if we don't have a blog about it. I should find that. For sure though, it's hard. Some people they want to leave a review, but they say it's great. And then they get stopped and they don't know what to say. And that's okay. I'm not everyone's a writer, and even writers sometimes have a hard time with review. What we found are helpful is to give questions, some leading questions, not where you're writing a review for someone, but where you're asking them questions that will bring about creativeness here. So maybe you ask, what did you like best about the book? What did you not enjoy about the book? Who was your favorite character? If you liked the book, why? Was there a specific topic that you liked about it? Leading questions like that, if you, let's say you're doing it by email, if you write out 5 questions and they just answer them, well, then they're halfway to a review. You just kind of smush the information together and make it flow, and you've got a review. So that can be very helpful for people. Again, you're not writing the review for them. You're asking them questions that make up a good review. Um, what was so enticing about the storyline? Was it fantasy? Was it written in a different timeline? Do you just love James Dean, so you loved Rick Lenz's book? There are certainly things that you can ask that can be specific to your book, but also just really general as far as who you liked best in the book, why you liked it. um, be specific enough that people aren't floundering, but not so specific that they can only write one line about it. And then as far as you're using them, certainly if someone is writing a review and it's on Amazon, anything like that, you are allowed to quote that and use it. However, if they have just sent it to you for personal reasons, you do need to make sure you have to ask for permission to post that online or elsewhere. And if it's a great quote, let's say you got a great quote from Kim Kardashian, let's just use her as an example. Well, number one, definitely ask if you can use that publicly. And if so, great, take that quote, put it on your blog, put it on your website, put it on your book even. There are many ways that you can use these to kind of show people that someone of note or someone that is um, seen often in the public eye appreciated your book and is maybe endorsing or recommending it. Let's see. Can we explain NetGalley and how it works? How do you reach out to readers? NetGalley is a website that you can pay to have your book put up on. You put your ebook up on NetGalley, and NetGalley has a bank of readers that they offer your book to. And readers can go and they can download the book. And it's kind of understood that if they're downloading the book for free, they should be leaving a review. They have a very high rate of reviewers generally, and it's a great system. It is a paid system. It's not super cheap. I do know that if you're an IBPA member, you get discounts, so check into that for sure. But it's a good system. It's really mostly meant for new books, though. If your book is older, it's probably not the best for you. Yeah, so Wendy's asking if a review is already on Amazon, we are free to use it on our site as a testimonial. That's correct, Wendy. If someone has already posted it publicly, you can quote them. You just need to make sure that you quote them properly. Use the quote marks like this. If you can, you put their name on there, you say where it came from. Sometimes people will just quote, wow, this book was life changing. Amazon reviewer. That works. But if they've already posted on a public site, on a public forum, you can quote that as well. And Gina's just saying that her book is 2 years old and yet still valuable and inspirational. It has 5 stars on Amazon, even though she's been poor at marketing herself. Isn't that the hardest, though, Jean? I mean, marketing yourself is sometimes the hardest thing. And especially, again, when you self publish, it's a big task because you're not just writing, you're not just publishing, you're doing everything. You are the marketer, or you are the publisher, and many times you're the editor, although we certainly recommend that you get proofread and all of that by a professional. But it's a big task. So I commend you for taking that leap and going to the metaphysical shop. And if it sells well, it would be really great for you to go back, maybe ask if that book seller of the shop would give you any type of a endorsement. And then you could reach out to other metaphysical shops around the US and ask if they would be interested in carrying your book as well. Oh, I'm sorry. Here, I'm going on and on about reviews, and Linda's just asking for the technicality of posting a review. So, Linda, do you mean like the technicality as far as getting permission, or do you mean how to actually post it on a blog? Because if so, that would be more of your website people. But if you're asking for the technicality of getting like permissions, that I can help with. Just let me know. I am going to pop right over here. Okay. I'm just going to pop over to Facebook Live and make sure that, um, whoops, I just want to make sure that we haven't missed any questions on there. And guys, we are at 10:40, so we've got about 5 more minutes. If you have any more questions, please um, put them in the chat box, put them in the Q&A, and we will get those up super quick. All right. I don't think we have any Facebook. But if you are watching on Facebook and you have a question, same goes for you. We've got a good 5 minutes, and I'm afraid I've got to run off and I've actually got to work. Although I guess this is work. This is the best kind of work. All right. How to actually post it as step-by-step directions. If you're looking for how to post it, if you have an endorsement and it's not an Amazon review, so this is a review that someone sent you. Um, if someone sent you a review and they've given you permission to use it, you can post it on your author page as a editorial review. You go to authorcentral.com, you go to your book, and on the book page, which you have hopefully claimed, you can go in and post a review. I think it literally says add, and you just copy and paste in there, and you can save it there so it shows up on your Amazon page. If you're doing it on a blog or something like that, I'm afraid that's all your web person. I wouldn't be able to give you directions, but you can also make, maybe make a cool graphic with it on Canva and then post it to social media. You can do it all over. You can even just, tweet it and tag them. Lots of ways to do it, but if you're looking for blog directions, I'm sorry. That's not me this time. And Annette wants to know, will BookBub take a 2013 book or only new titles for ads? Here's the thing, Annette. Are you talking about a featured deal where you drop the price down and they market to everybody, or are you talking about an ad? As far as I know, when you're running an ad, which is a paid ad where you're paying them a cost to put on their website, as far as I know, there's not restrictions. However, most people I know have not gotten great results from just a BookBub ad. If you're doing a featured deal, which you're talking about a featured deal, I believe they do take older books. It is very hard to get in a BookBub. They say that they only take less than 10%. They get tons and tons of people applying every day. You can apply every 30 days. Having high reviews helps. If you have your price, make sure that you have not done a discount in the last 90 days. They do check that. You must be willing to drop your book price down to 99 cents to 2.99. They like the lower prices. Um, and really, what they're looking for is they're looking for something that's highly rated. Now, if you put your book up in 2013 and you had a lot of great reviews, but you haven't had any reviews since 2013, they're probably not going to consider your book. If your book is still active, if you're still getting sales, if you're still getting reviews, they may. All I can say is that it's much like the lottery. If you don't play, you can't win. So I always recommend, if you have a book you think is a good fit for BookBub and you understand that if you get that BookBub, there is a cost involved. Anywhere, I've seen BookBubs that run anywhere from $200 to $1,300, I believe. So there is a cost involved. It's a huge market and a huge opportunity, but make sure that when you're applying, you understand that, it may be a chunk of change to actually go through with it. But absolutely, I always, all of our clients, we do a BookBub. We apply on BookBub every 30 days without fail. And we've gotten quite a few of them also. Make sure that when you're doing a BookBub deal, you do have to give them all the general information, but then there's a little comments box where you can talk about your book. And we always try to relate it to the current times. So, like right now, I have a book called It Starts With You by Fred Stuvek, and we are going to be applying for that for a book bub. He's gotten one before um, in December of 2018, and he wants to apply again. And we are going to pitch that as a great book for those starting out in new careers, going into college as college freshmen who maybe need a leg up on success. So make sure that you try to relate it as much as you can to the current time, the current events. Make it applicable, and that's really what's important. All right, one last check on Facebook. Yep, guys, I think we're all done. Thank you for joining me today. It's always so nice to talk to you. I really enjoyed it. Again, my name's Keri Barnum. I am the marketing director for New Shelves. Amy Collins will be back next week, and I hope you guys all have a fantastic weekend. Bye-bye.